Our 90-day all-access package is always incredibly popular at the start of football, but we've made it even better. Not only do we discount the 90-day all-access package to $7.99, but until August 29th, we've added 30 days. That's right, until Sunday, August 29th, you get 120 days of the most action-packed sports month for only $7.99. That would include the rest of the NFL preseason, all MLB plays through the World Series, the entire college football regular season, at least 15 weeks of the NFL, over 2 months of the NHL and NBA, over 6 weeks of college basketball, plus any soccer, UFC, Asian baseball, Asian basketball, golf, and any other sports your favorite capper releases. The most action-filled 120 days of the sports year are yours for only $7.99.
Welcome into First Pitch for Wednesday, September 1st. I am Drew Martin, your host, joined by Matt Josephs and Tony Finn of Sports Memo and WagerTalk.com, respectfully. We're breaking down 4 games on tonight's card. We got best bets at the end. First up here, follow him on Twitter at MidMajorMatt. His work at SportsMemo.com. He's got a good discount here on one of his top college football plays. Also seeing it well in those strikeout props, guys. He knows his stuff there, over 60% run. Matt Josephs, welcome in, man.
Thanks for having me, Drew. Yeah, excited. College football starts tonight for me. UAB and Jacksonville State. Looking forward to that game. You can get for just $2 on SportsMemo.com. But I'll say this: you're probably going to get a better number than I did for tonight's game. But still love the play as well. You can find that on SportsMemo.com.
UAB, the Blazers. Pretty good head coach there, huh, Matt? This is going to be a fun one, kind of kicking off your college football slate, huh?
Yeah, a lot of fun angles to this game tonight, and some of those angles I think will help out the team that I selected. And yeah, should be a fun one as we get Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday college football this week.
Oh, it's kicking off with a blast. Week 1 college football is here, guys, but baseball's still rolling along. So good time to find some winners here on the diamond. The guy that knows how to do that, Tony Finn, #1 profit leader all time at WagerTalk. Check him out. Tony, welcome into the show, buddy.
Glad you guys could join me. What are we going to talk about today?
Good start to it, Tony, as we're going right into the first game. We got Tampa Bay here and Boston down in the Trop. We get Chris Sale making his 4th start of the season here, Matt. And going up against pretty much a bullpen day is what I would call it for the Rays. Interested in your opinion on that. We have seen some so what Chris Sale opened -160. We have a flip favorite here. What's going on with this the sidewise and the odds move here, Matt? 7.5 the total in the Trop. What are you seeing in Tampa tonight?
Well, I mean, I think a lot of people see Chris Sale and they're like, okay, you know, Chris Sale's the ace and everything. He's looked like the ace, and he's pitched well in 3 starts, although granted, most of them were against some poor opponents. And we know how much we love playing the K-props against Tampa Bay because they do struggle mightily against left-handers. I'm actually kind of intrigued by this Rasmussen kid. You know, I watched his last start against the Phillies, and his off-speed stuff was not very good. He was getting his fastball over, but his off-speed stuff seemed a little bit flat, and yet he managed to get away with it. He gave up 1 run, 4 hits in that game in 5 innings, only had 1 strikeout. This is the 3rd time he's going to see Boston in over a month, and around a month. He saw him on August 12th when he started, gave up 1 run and 1 hit in 4 innings, 4 strikeouts and 2 walks. That was in Boston, and then at home on August 1st as a reliever, he went 1 2/3, walked 2, gave up 1 run in that game. So I'm kind of intrigued, at least early on, to see how both of these starting pitchers go. I would look to the Chris Sale over for the strikeout prop, but once again, as we've talked about on this show, juice tolerance, the juice is kind of ridiculous right now. So if you didn't get it early, you probably missed out on it. But it's tough to bet against the Rays, Drew. You mentioned it's a bullpen game. But is there a team in baseball better equipped to handle a game like this and getting the right guys in the right situations? I don't want to get in front of the Tampa Bay Rays train, even with a guy like Chris Sale on the mound.
Sure. And Matt, just real quick here. I mean, you said, you know, Rossman's starting. Are you viewing this as kind of looking to, because you didn't have too favorable things to say about him, as a bullpen game? Or are you looking at this more of like Rossman as the starter and he's going to go, you know, 4 or 5 plus innings?
I think he's going to go 4 or 5. I mean, as I said, his stuff was okay against the Phillies last time out, and he managed to go 5. And I think the Rays, they're not going to go as far as they do with Patino. I feel like Patino is the only guy in this rotation right now that they'll let go 100-plus pitches. But I think Rasmussen will go 60, 70 pitches, maybe 75 at some point. So I think we can assume that he's going to go 5 unless he hits some early troubles, and then they'll start looking at like the Flemings and things like that. So I think Rasmussen is the starting pitcher in that he's going to try and go 4 and 5 and then leave it to the bullpen for the last 4 innings.
Sure. I could see that. Just kind of maybe, big trouble, maybe get the quick hook. But sure, if he's rolling, having, possibly a quality start here, Tony. We're heading to the Trop here. The Red Sox and the Rays. Matt touched on it. I mean, the Rays winning 9 straight games. Tough train to step in front of here, Tony. And we're seeing the market pour on the Rays.
Yeah. As Matt mentioned, Drew, Rasmussen has seen plenty of this Boston team. However, this is what he's slashing against Boston in the innings he's pitched against them. And Drew's correct also. I think both of you guys, your question about how far he would go, I expect him to go 4 or 5 innings. They've stretched him. That's what he's gone for. So, why fix something that's not broke? He's slashing, or teams are slashing against Rasmussen 108, 175, 192 with an OPS of 367. Forgive me, Boston. That's what Boston is slashing against Rasmussen. It's a decent hitting team for Boston, so he's been pretty successful. Difficult. First off, as well as both these teams can hit the ball, as well as Tampa Bay is playing, it's very difficult, even with that slash mark, even the fact that Sale slashing 255, 294, 474 against Tampa Bay in his career, to play under 7.5. Umpires neutral, not going to help or hurt too badly, or he shouldn't, depending on his night. But I'm not on this game. I looked at the sale, looked at the price, looked at if I'm going to be somewhere, guys. I have to tell you, I think it's a steal right now to be playing Tampa with that run and at that price. That's just my opinion.
All right, good stuff, Tony. We got Daryl in the chat box saying Sale can't save the Red Sox tonight, maybe pointing towards how good a baseball really the Rays are playing tonight, guys. So welcome in on the chat box. We got Jessica in the house, Abel as well, Buck, Keegan, all you guys and girls, welcome on in. Feel free to chime in where you're watching from, what you're looking to bet tonight. All is welcome here. And if you're liking the content, please smash that like button on the Wager Talk YouTube channel as we head out west here to Los Angeles for our next game up. Actually, late night start here, Tony. We're getting the Atlanta Braves, Max Fried on the hill. Good pitching matchup here. And the LA Dodgers with Max Scherzer, minus 200. Seeing it mostly minus 205 even at the Wager Talk odds screen. What do you like in Braves and Dodgers late night, Tony?
Well, keeping this late for prime time, aren't they? It's been a pretty good series. You saw Atlanta take the lead, looked like they might be able to hold on. Their bullpen's not the best. It's certainly not what the Dodgers can provide or present to the opposition. A good matchup tonight. Fried and Mad Max. The umpire, this umpiring crew. Listen, I've heard both of these. I've hit both of these unders. The first 2 nights, I had a big play. 2 nights ago, 5% on the under. Last night, I also played the under. The night before, the under was much lower, or at least I guess it would have been Monday. It would have been, I got a 9. It did come down to an 8.5, but for the most part, I never thought it was it never had to sweat it. Last night, maybe you sweat a little bit, maybe going to overtime, but it comes in under as well. Tonight, Manny Gonzalez, the umpire, a longtime vet, MLB wars, typical soldier, Jeff Nelson on that crew. This crew is consistent, and they really favor pitchers who work quickly. Mad Max and Fried are those guys. So playing under 7.5 in a getaway game or a getaway night game, should I say, would be favorable. That is my free pick. I'll go into it a little more when we get to it.
All right, best bets at the end, guys. But first, let's get Matt Joseph's opinion here heading out to LA. You liking anything here, Matt?
Well, I'll say this. My best bet, at least, is a price bet involving this game, and so I'll do that a little bit later on. But when you look at Max Fried, he's pitched really well last month in August, but a lot of that was the competition, I think. You see Baltimore and Washington on there. He did get touched up a little bit by the Giants, who hit lefties a little bit better than they hit righties. And then you look at July, and he had an awful July because he even had an awful July at Pittsburgh and at Miami. My one concern for this game is Max Fried on the road. And we kind of know early with regards to Max Fried. When you look at some of his splits and some things like that, you'll know early on what kind of pitcher you're getting. He also is one of these guys that as the game goes along, he gets a little bit better. So it could be one of those live betting situations where you're sitting there and you're watching, you're like, all right, I'm convinced. As Tony talked about, the umpires are on my side. Fried looks good. Scherzer looks good. You may lose like a half a run value if you wait an inning or two, but then I would potentially look for like a live under here, especially if you know these guys are going to go 7 and 8 and take out the bullpens for the most part. So I might be looking at like a live under here just in case we don't get the good Max Fried early on and we don't have to worry about that full game.
Sure. Watch the early innings and feel free to jump in there, guys, on the late night action. That's the Dodgers there. And now look out in the NL West, guys, because the Giants and Dodgers, tight race here for number 1 and 2. And that's our next game up with the Milwaukee Brewers and the San Francisco Giants. We're seeing Anderson and the Brewers catching plus 130 on the road. Gosman and the Giants minus 150 here, Matt. And speaking towards the NL West here, we get the Giants, best team in baseball record-wise, but they have lost 3 straight. And with the Dodgers winning 2 straight, only a half a game behind. So both teams, 13-game cushion in terms of getting into the playoffs for that 1-game wild card. But there is some importance here, and that's putting it lightly on winning this division. So some important games here in the month of September in the NL West. You liking anything here, Brewers and Giants, Matt?
Well, if I was to play anything here, I'd probably go Giants first 5. We know the Brewers have the late inning edge, especially if it's a close game, and they can bring Williams in, they can bring Hader in. They've got so many good bullpen arms. You want to kind of isolate the early part of this matchup. I've never been a Brett Anderson guy, and the part with Brett Anderson is he only goes 3 or 4 innings. So if I want to take advantage of that advantage, and also, you're getting a guy like Kevin Gausman, who's been good for the most part as of late. He wasn't great in Oakland, didn't get helped by his fielding. He gave a couple of unearned runs there. He also only had 2 strikeouts in Atlanta, which is rare for him because he's been such a good strikeout pitcher as of late. But to me, I would look more towards the first 5 innings. I'd look to the Giants here with the pitching advantage with Gausman. I'm not a huge believer in the Milwaukee lineup as a whole. I didn't play it officially, but I would definitely look at that Giants first 5 here with the pitching advantage and with a decent price getting San Francisco.
And Matt, just to follow up to that, would you recommend, if somebody needed some action on the Brewers Giants, don't want to push you too hard here, would you lay the juice in the first 5 or would you lay the half a run with the Giants?
Yeah, I'd probably lay the juice here. Look, Gausman should be able to take care of business, maybe holding them down to 0 or 1 run even. But I like the comfort of having to be able to push here. The Giants offense, I don't love. They're hot and they're cold. 2 offenses I don't love here, which is why I would try for the push. Let's say it's 0-0 where you would win, as opposed to if you take the minus a half, then you would lose, that sort of thing. So I'd like the comfort. Granted, you are paying a little bit of juice, and of course there's always the juice tolerance for each individual handicap, each individual bettor, but I would look to the first 5 for the Giants money line, not run line.
Okay, good stuff, Matt. And Tony, coming to you here, San Francisco, liking anything, Brewers and Giants?
Here come the Dodgers. There go the Giants. No, we've talked about this all season. Can the Giants hold up? Is this, mid-season, even before mid-season, hell, after the All-Star break? There's still question marks on this pitching staff, and had they, outpitched their peripherals, had they been fortunate. This team's well managed, guys. They're balanced. They can hit the long ball. They can do everything that you need to do. And despite the fact that they play in one of the, as far as park factors go, in San Francisco, it's a tough place to hit home runs. These Giants have done it, and they've done it in timely fashion. This is a game I'm not on it because if I was, I would be on the crew. And I find it, call it what you want. Every game's different. Every game's individually. It's like the rolling dice on the craps table. The guy that tells you that there's been 5 straight 7s, there can't possibly be another 7 while the odds are the same. So let's say the same thing here. I would be on the crew. I'm not on this game. I like the way they're playing. I like their swagger. I like the way they look when they take the field. Not that San Francisco is slouching or looking like a loser, but right now Milwaukee has the best road record in baseball. They've proved the first 2 games out here in the Bay Area. Why not a third time?
Good stuff, Tony. As we got Abel in the chat box watching from Las Vegas. Can't get it right, saying LA has played 6 straight games under the total. So some good stuff here in the chat box. David chiming in. Very rarely have I ever seen my Brewers sweep any team out west. So he's looking to be on San Francisco there. So coming from a Brewers fan, take that for what it is. Minus 178 price tag on the Giants tonight, guys, as we got one more game. Best bets at the end. Please smash that like button. Oakland and the Detroit Tigers in the Motor City here, Tony. We get Cap versus Peralta. Peralta coming off of the IL. Not sure how you factor that into your handicap. They're catching a plus price here. Let's call it plus 145, even plus 150 now, with Oakland taking some money, minus 165. Tony, liking anything here, Athletics and Tigers?
I guess if you want to take recent form, you would be all over Oakland here, a desperate team playing desperately, and I shouldn't say that. That's just not accurate. But they've handled themselves well in Detroit, in the Motor City. Detroit, I think they're losers of 7 of the last 8 at home. They haven't played well at home. At one point in time, I really thought this team, guys, would threaten that 500 mark, which I think would have been a huge accomplishment for this Tigers team, especially how they started. But I think they're 8 games under 5 right now, and it's going to be a tough, long stretch to match that 500 mark, I think, at this point in time, considering their schedule. Tonight, J-Cap, a top pick of the Yankees, goes over to Oakland. He's been pretty good. There's been some times I think he's been really fortunate. There's been some starts where he's been unfortunate. That's the life of Major League Baseball, batted ball luck. I like Peralta. Peralta's been undervalued. He didn't fit that Kansas City team they really never gave him a chance to start, let's say. He came to Detroit with a chip on his shoulder. He worked hard. Look where he's at. He started in the bullpen. He's worked into the rotation for a lot of different reasons. But for the most part, Peralta's been good. He's been serviceable and a guy that you can depend on to go out there and give you 5 or 6 innings. I think you see the same thing tonight. This is pretty much a toss-up. I believe wholeheartedly that the young kid, J-Cap, is a little bit overpriced, and for a reason. Again, Detroit hasn't been great at home recently, and they're not hitting the ball with any real power. Not that you're going to do that in Comerica anyway, but I would lean to the dog here, Peralta and the dog against the young J-Cap.
Sure. And Tony, I like what you said there about Peralta. I agree with you. He came in with a chip on his shoulder. He's kind of outperformed what the Tigers probably thought they would get. But with him, he hasn't pitched. I guess it was only a short stint on the IL. How much do you factor that into his performance tonight, Tony?
This is not a young kid. Peralta's been through a couple rodeos in his early 30s, and this is a guy that at one point in time won 17 games, the starter. Guys, he's not inexperienced, and I think if anyone knows, those are the kind of guys I like coming off the IL. They've been on the IL before. Okay. They know what they had to do to be successful coming off. I wouldn't put a lot of factor into, at least I wouldn't put a lot of negative on that situation. It's not for Peralta.
Okay. No, good point. I like hearing that, guys, because, sometimes, and maybe you're talking, Tony, towards like the younger guys, maybe waiting a start or two, which sometimes I have circled that because every now and again, you'll see a guy come off the IL and he just gets blown up. And it's like, man, I wish I wouldn't have bet that, even though his numbers are good like Peralta. Matt, not sure if you have anything on that kind of scenario, backing a guy coming off of the IL, and also your thoughts here in the last game we'll break down.
Usually, I don't like to back a guy coming off the IL, but this is not a long stint, so I don't expect it. Plus, as you guys talked about, it's a veteran. Usually, if I was to do something with this, I would be looking at potentially like a K-prop under, especially like if you talk about like Luke Weaver earlier today. He's got that game, and he is a guy who's been out for a while, had a couple of short rehabs, was also on the COVID list. He's the type of guy I'd look more to fade or take K-prop unders on than a guy like Peralta, who's only really missed one start. With regards to this matchup, I thought it was interesting. The books hung a 4.5 for Caprillian's K-prop early, and then it got bet up big time. Some places it's 5.5. Some places the juice is absolutely ridiculous. So one place it was like minus 225, which usually they don't let the K-props get to minus 225 because nobody's betting that. The Tigers haven't struck out as much as they had in the past. They're still a team that's very free swinging. Plus, Caprillian's kind of had like a K thing all over the place. He had a lot of Ks against the Yankees. Everybody does. But he went to Texas through 5 1/3 innings and had no strikeouts. And he's had 4 strikeouts the past couple of times. So he's been kind of all over the place. And I wonder how much now we're getting closer to probably his innings, not necessarily his innings limit, but his highest innings that he's had. So I wonder if he is only going to go 5. If you really like Caprillion, you're going to look potentially to a first 5. If you like Peralta, especially if you've seen some of his statistics, maybe you're looking at like a first 5 under. But once again, I caution everybody, whatever I say Oakland should do and whatever statistics I think that Oakland should do, they never do it. So I lean first 5 under, which means probably take the first 5 over in this one.
All right, guys. That does it for the 4 games, and we do have best bets. But first, Matt, want to get your opinion. It says it in his Twitter handle here, kind of a name he goes by, Mid-Major Matt. He knows his college football and baseball. Been good at both of them. Matt, when we get into college football starting here and Major League Baseball still going on, what percentage of your time are you spending on each sport?
I would say it's about 80% college football, 20% baseball, but that's at least because my what I'm betting on in baseball takes a little bit less time. The K-prop market, basically I'll set up what I think the number should be. I'll look at the percentages. If it's where I want it to be, then I'll make sure to shop around, because the frustrating part of this market is every book's got different numbers. Every market's got different juices. So that's the toughest part, I would think, is to find the right place. Case in point, my favorite wager of the day, which is not the one I'm going to give out next, was Joe Ryan's strikeout prop over. He's a strikeout guy for the Twins, who threw a lot of strikeouts in AAA. He was on USA Baseball, had a ton of strikeouts. He's going up against the Cubs. The number was really low. Jumped in on the juice. It was great. Now I just went to the place I found it, and it's minus 170, so I can't give it out. So really, Drew, it's just doing the shopping around part, setting the numbers, and then kind of waking up the next morning, seeing where their numbers are, and just, plugging in and playing.
Okay, good stuff, Matt. And Tony, got a question for you. How do you think expanded bullpens will affect overs, unders, and live in-game betting? That's from Ron in the chat box. As we get the expanded rosters here, a lot of those new arms coming up from the minors. Do you look at that at all, and does that affect your handicap, Tony?
Well, it does, and let's use an example. Let's use the Padres for an example. They've been one of the better bullpens, despite some injuries this year. However, and in truth, they've faced more batters. They may have had more pitches thrown. And that said, being successable, Drew, it means they've had to work harder to be that way. And at this point in time, with the injuries they have, the expanded bullpen or expanded rosters, although we're still expanded right now a little bit of 26, right? It helps. It helps keep guys fresher. You don't have to bring a guy in 3 straight days sometimes. And recently I cashed on a San Diego over when they were down in Arizona, simply because of what they went through before they faced the Dodgers, and then what they had to use in that 16-inning game against the Dodgers.
Sure.
The arms were tired. So yes, it makes a difference, especially if they have talent, on the farm, in the minors, that they can bring up that they haven't had room for in the roster, and they can contribute to the success. I would say it makes a difference, especially for teams who are deep and talented.
He's Tony Finn, WagerTalk.com, number 1 profit leader all time at WagerTalk. So check him out, experts page, Tony Finn, and also Matt Josephs here. Follow him on Twitter at MidMajorMatt. He's got his play up at Sports Memo, discounted to just $2, Matt. It's Wednesday, though. You're letting it fly, huh?
I have no control over any of this stuff. The powers that be have said that since the game is tonight and people still may not have gotten the play, they can get it for $2. There's plenty of other offers and stuff in there. So for $2, why not? If you don't like it, you just get $2, whatever.
Hey, yeah, why not? Take advantage, guys. SportsMemo.com, Matt Josephs, $2. UAB in Jacksonville State. Little regional rivalry there, Matt. Jacksonville State, interestingly enough, I believe it's in the state of Alabama, correct?
Yeah, it is not in the state of Jacksonville.
All right, guys, we are heading to best bets, leaving it at that. Matt, throw it back over to you, man. Where are you heading to best bets tonight?
So, as I said, a lot of the best bets that I have for my K-props and stuff for my clients, the all-access clients, since I put them up early, the juice is really good. Well, I'm not going to give you my favorite one was the Joe Ryan one, but the juice is way too much, so I don't want you playing that. So this is purely a price play. I mean, with the trends the way they have been lately, over 5.5 strikeouts for Max Fried is plus 125, plus 130 in a lot of different places. And I wouldn't go nuts because this is just purely, if it was minus 110, I'd leave it alone. But since it's plus money, and since, Max Fried is a guy that has gone over this number in 4 of his last 5 road starts. The Dodgers are striking out a ton. The last 2 weeks, they have the 4th highest K rate of anybody, 13th in K rate against left-handed pitchers. We know that's been their problem the past couple of years. And 7 of the last 12 pitchers have gone over this number against LA. Tony talked about the umpiring crew. That seems like it's positive in my favor here. So because of the fact it's plus 125, plus 130, maybe even a little higher some other places, I'm going to take a shot. Max Fried over 5.5 strikeouts in this game tonight. I'm going to hope the good Max Fried shows up and the good umpiring crew shows up and we get over this number at this plus price.
All right, I'll follow that up, guys. Heading to the Trop tonight, Boston and Tampa Bay. Chris Sale on the hill. Nothing against Chris Sale. Think he's a top-line pitcher, and he's pitched well. The only thing is he's only been going about 5 innings and a huge bullpen advantage here towards the Rays. So I hate giving it out after this big move. We've seen a huge market move towards the Rays. But in a card I didn't like a lot of, I'll take the Rays as the home slight favorite here, minus 115. Winning 9 straight, and the Boston Red Sox losing 3 straight. So trend is your friend in the sports betting market, using that to our advantage here. Rays at home, minus the 115 price tag. Throw it over to you, Tony. Finish us off here. Best bets, buddy.
We'll go to this. Well, we're going to go to Atlanta and the Dodgers as Matt did. And to speak to Matt, Manny Gonzalez has one of the better and more consistent K to base on balls ratios among veteran umpires. And this is a long-time vet, too, Manny, decade plus at this level. Noser Nelson, I think, listen, a lot of guys call Nelson hitter-friendly. It's not accurate. Jeff Nelson's very consistent. And, again, 2 guys who work quickly. This is Fried, especially Max. We all have seen Mad Max pitch. This guy wants the ball. He wants to throw it. And he wants to say, here it is, hit it if you can. And he's been really good. He's been really, really good. His slash in 133, 217, 266, OPS 483 against Atlanta. Max, he fired that complete game shutout. Now, it was against the Orioles. He came back with another solid outing. His curveball's working again, guys. It's working again. Look at his ground ball to fly ball ratio early in the season to what it is now. And if you're going to be successful against this Dodgers, especially if you saw a Monday night's game, that 16 game where the final score came in 5-3, 7 home runs, 1 2-run home run, 7 solo shots. The ball was flying out of Chavez Ravine, and which is unusual, especially with no wind and at 68 degrees. So that said, ball low, Fried will be there. Mad Max, I like under 7.5. Another under in LA tonight. Atlanta and the Dodgers, 2 good pitching efforts, a fast game. Umpires like it. Everyone makes their flights under 7.5.
I like it, Tony. And the chat box liking that one too, the unders in LA. So shout out to the chat box, guys. Like always, in recap of best bets, off of the 3-0 yesterday and a big plus price underdog with the Angels. We're going to look to go 2-1, if not 3-0 again, as best bets. I've been killing it. Please smash that like button if you're making any money. If you're learning anything from the show, I'm on the Rays, minus 116. We get Matt Josephs, Max Fried over 5.5 Ks, and Tony Finn, Atlanta and LA under the 7.5. Remember, quick game. They got to catch their flights, according to Tony Slickman there. So good show, guys. Tony, Mid-Major Matt, I am Drew Martin. Huge shout out to the chat box again. Thanks for joining us. Please smash that like button on your way out, guys. We'll be back tomorrow. Same time, same place. Come back and join us. Best of luck with your bets until then.
Our 90-day all-access package is always incredibly popular at the start of football. We've made it even better. Not only do we discount the 90-day all-access package to $7.99, but until August 29th, we've added 30 days. That's right, until Sunday, August 29th, you get 120 days of the most action-packed sports month for only $7.99. That would include the rest of the NFL preseason, all MLB plays through the World Series, the entire college football regular season, at least 15 weeks of the NFL, over 2 months of the NHL and NBA, over 6 weeks of college basketball, plus any soccer, UFC, Asian baseball, Asian basketball, golf, and any other sports your favorite capper releases. The most action-filled 120 days of the sports year are yours for only $7.99.